What is up? Welcome back to another YouTube video. I have Colby with me. We're working on the Lexus once again today. Currently have it lifted. I got a big suspension lift on it. Just kidding, I have a jack underneath of it. I'm going to be changing out the front wheel hubs because I've been getting a bit of noise coming from back there. I have fronts and backs, so I'm just going to do fronts today. Backs another day. I have my tools here, my ratchet set. I have my impact here, new wheel hubs here. I got the Moog ones. You can see my phone case right there. Speaker to jam out, ratchet. And we're going to start getting the wheel off, start getting along here. You can see that I cracked my phone a little bit, so we're on to another one now. I don't know how much longer this one's going to last, so we'll see. But right now, Colby's getting the socket sized out for this. I can't remember what size it is. I'll let you know in a second, but we'll get the wheel off.
21 millimeter.
I knew it was either 19 or 21, so yeah, we'll go 21 millimeters, get the wheel off, and proceed onwards from there.
NASCAR speed.
Easily one of my favorite tools that I've ever bought. Wheels off, we're just getting to the caliper now. Bolts here in the back, so we'll get those off. What size is that you have on there right now?
14.
14 millimeter on the back, so that's what we're going with. A little tight on there, might need to use an impact on it. Alright, so we had to use a little bit of rubber mallet right there, a couple rubber mallets, 17 millimeter on the back, not 14 like I'd said earlier. Take out the bolts in the back like that. Should just come clean off right here, and then we'll get the actual brake rotor itself out. Alright, we have the rotor off now. Caliper's right here. It's just kind of sitting on the tire, which I propped underneath just to have a safe precaution here. I had to take off a little bracket right here with a 12 millimeter socket. I'm going to go get my open end, box end, wrenches, whatever, to get this off right here. Kind of work at these here, and then should pull off pretty easily. Working on getting off this little cover right here. Looks like a little dust cover of sorts, but kind of whacking it with the flathead, prying it out. Kind of getting there. We've been taking turns going at it.
It probably has old grease all in it, so
yeah.
We're about to find out. Hang on. You gotta pry. Oh, that actually looks pretty good.
That is shiny under there too.
Yeah.
It's done a good job sealing out dust.
That's smart though, how you have an indent there, because without it, this thing would almost be impossible to get off.
Yeah, so I'll throw that on the new one.
To have something like that.
Look at that little thing in there.
So then you have a cotter pin, and then that just looks like a 16 head or 16 point.
Ain't pretty?
Has to come out.
Well, we've hit a stopping point right now. We can't get this off. I have a 32 millimeter socket, and it is too small for that. So I'm going to go out and get another one. I think it's either 33, 34, 35, awesome. Something like that. So I'm going to go grab one from the auto parts store with Colby, and then we'll come back, get that off, and proceed forwards. Colby's doing the hard work here. The 35 millimeter socket. We just had to buy.
We're back just to do that.
Yeah. So it's a little big boy that just went on there.
Yeah.
So pop this off.
Pretty straightforward.
Get those out in the back. Seems like it should be relatively self-explanatory, but we'll see. So we just figured this out collectively. As you kind of pull apart, you got to unscrew these and unbolt it, and then the whole thing kind of pulls off. I was looking at my little dust shield right here for my brakes. Look at that.
Wonderful.
That's what Maryland salt does to you.
That's it.
There we go. There's the old one.
So this doesn't even have an oil seal in it. I wonder why they even sent that. Because the new one has an oil seal.
Is it in there? We didn't see it?
No.
There's a chunk of something though.
That might be part
that's probably the wheel speed sensor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your sensor.
That's the wheel speed sensor right there. So clean out a little bit of this because it looks like there's a little bit of
That's pretty simple though.
Dust
I thought it was
and
gonna
stuff.
be a lot worse than that, but
no, yeah. So the fronts don't honestly seem to be bad. I have some rear ones built, but the new one looks like it'll just bolt right in and kind of screw on here like it was before.
No problems whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it always goes. Every single auto repair is always easy. There are never any problems and never any issues. But yeah, we'll get the new one on right now, slide it on, see how it does. And here we have our new one. Gonna go ahead, throw this bad boy in.
Put the seal on. If the old one didn't have it and you didn't have issues with it,
I was gonna say I'm not seeing a spot for a seal.
If you do
in
have
there.
issues and you do have leaks, you know it's probably that, and just take it off and put the new one on.
Yeah, exactly. It was simple enough to get it off, but there was none that came off before. It looks like if there is a seal in there, it's holding it. So clean it off real quick. You can see just from toggling around with it, it sets in the exact same way the old one just came out. Now I forgot to kind of show this earlier. You just want to make sure that it has the right amount of studs on it, obviously. 6 studs on the old one, 6 studs on the new one, and showing you as well with the old one. You see this little seal right back here. So it's pre-packed in there, pre-packed in the new one because it did have that seal. So that one's sealed.
Nice, you don't have to pack them because it takes a lot of grease to pack them bearings.
Indeed. So it should be good to go. Gonna throw these bad boys back on, get the actual axle nut back on. Once again, that's a 35 millimeter socket that I use. Torque that down a little bit to the point where we can throw it on a little spindle, whatever, nut thing. I'm drawing a blank on what's that called? The pin. Yes, the pin.
Cotter pin.
Cotter pin. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Colby.
See, it's pulling it in further. So as you watch this, it's pulling the spline on further onto the axle.
So we'll tighten that down a little bit. Use a little Ugga Dugga machine right here.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You got to give it the right torque guarantee.
Exactly.
Teach you how to do that real quick. So you just gotta, like Colby was saying, hit it. But then you gotta make sure before you do anything else, you say that sucker's not going anywhere. And once you say that, you're safe. Rotor's back on, and we're good to throw on the tire, leave the caliper hanging there, and then get driving. No, I'm just kidding, of course. I'd like to be able to stop my vehicle.
We're actually gonna do that.
I'm just gonna drive it like this. Yeah, just rotor on the ground. But no, we'll throw that back on. Well, it is back on. Throw the caliper back on. Get it back on. Get it to clamp down onto here. Tire on that, and then either take it for a test drive or I'll get on the other side. Caliper and rotor are mounted back on. You can see the fresh studs right there, so we're gonna throw on the new tire. I use my torque spec once again as tight as I can go, and that's not going anywhere. Throw on the bracket as well, so tire will go on now, and then I'll get on to the other side. Colby's gonna head out after we get this on, so thank you again for the help. Throw her on now. So the wheel is back on the Lexus, lowered back down to the ground. Gonna take it on a quick test drive, make sure that it drives all right, make sure that everything looks all right, and then just kind of keep going from there. Hop onto the other side, but as long as this side looks good, drives all right, I'm gonna call it good. Just got back home. As you can see, I still have my driver's side wheel, so we're doing good. Gonna hop onto the passenger side here. I'm not gonna do a full in-depth walk around about how I do it. I'm just gonna kind of do it and put it on a time lapse just because I kind of demonstrated how to do it on the other side. So once again, lift up the wheel, get all your lug nuts off, pull off your brake caliper, pull off your brake rotor, pull off your little mounting bracket for your brake hoses. Start to undo the back of the hub, pull it out, pull a little bit further, unbolt it all the way. Take off your axle nut cap and all that. Pull it off, put on the new one, axle nut cap and everything back on. You're moving in reverse at this point, so just put it all back together. Brake rotor, brake caliper, hose bracket back on, tire back on, and you were good to go. So I'll time lapse that one. So I got Tim here now with me. He's recording. If you missed him, go check him out in the Tacoma videos I posted. But you see, we had a little bit of a struggle getting off the brake calipers initially. Now I'm trying to line it all up again. 17mm bolt. Trying to get to thread into the back of the brace here. And it looks like it is starting to go. Nope. So I'm kind of wedging my way underneath. Working along here. They ain't built them like they used to. If I did this correct, my wheel won't fall off. If I did it incorrectly, my wheel will fall off. It's still on there. So just like that, we got the fronts on. Tim was playing there with the jack, kind of lifting himself up, having a good time. But
Don't expose me.
I will expose you. Anyways, there are the old wheel bearings, hubs, taken out. So the new wheel sits on, or not the new wheel hub sits on. Can't even see them, but they're in there nice and pretty, all shiny. So that's just a quick little tutorial on how I did it here and a little time lapse. Probably the hardest part was honestly getting off those brake calipers. They did not want to come off at all, but that's going to be it for now. I'll do the backs in another video, sorry. I'll do the front and rear differential fluids and transfer case fluids in another video. I got some more work coming up for this, cutting it out for summer, but for the time being, that is it. Took it on a test drive. I was doing just fine, so thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more little car repairs, odds and ends, adventures, and whatnot.